Special call meeting of the Glynn County Board of Commissioners for the purpose of establishing a SPLOST. We're in the final deliberations of that. Before we begin, I'd like to have a roll call, please, for Bill Brunson.
Here.
Alan Booker.
Here.
David O'Quinn.
Here.
Walter Rafalski.
Here.
Sammy Tostenson.
Here.
1, 2, 3. Wayne Neal here. And Cap Findig. I'm not seeing Cap on our screen this morning. All right. Ms. Patel, would you give Cap a call, please, and see if he's having trouble logging in, and we'll go back from there. All right. Thank you. As I stated, the purpose of the meeting this morning is to consider our SPLOST list and adopt a couple of resolutions. So I'll begin with our first item is consider further discussion regarding the project list for the special purpose local option sales tax SPLOST 2021. We posted yesterday morning early, somewhere around 9:30, our final draft. We had worked from our Thursday meeting with the commissioners individually and with Alan Hours, our county manager, to bring our list down to a final number. We had estimates come in through the day Friday on some of these projects, so we were adjusting our numbers late into the day Friday, and then over the weekend discussing these with our commissioners individually. Through that process, I think most discussions were held, and unless there's a commissioner that has an item on the list that they would like to discuss this morning, we would be ready to vote on the final list.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Just again, to recap some of the arguments or questions that have come back to us on how this spot is more. There've been a lot of accusations that this is a last minute SPLOST that's been put together. And I just beg that that's not true at all. The previous commission, which you served on, worked on this SPLOST list for 2020 for a course of about two years. I have all the meeting notes and the discussions y'all had. So not much has changed on this list. That SPLOST 2020 would have probably gone forward except for COVID and the issues of the courthouse. But the rest of this list is pretty much the same that you've been working on, and Brunson and Booker. The three new guys have kind of picked up where everything's been left off. So I just want the general public to know that they can review these lists and go over them and see the comparison. And you'll see that really the big thing that we've added on for St. Simon's was the right-of-way intersection improvements at Frederica and Sea Island Road. You know, another thing I want to point out too is this SPLOST includes a list by the Joint Water and Sewer Commission that's totaling $15 million. Nobody's talked about that during this whole process, but that's a project list that they've had ready for quite a while. Those projects are mainly in Brunswick. There is a Dunbar Creek water treatment and sewer treatment rehabilitation. It's at $3,500,000. 3.250, I'm sorry. The rest of the projects of that 15 million are for Brunswick area infrastructure, water, sewer needs. So, you know, Jekyll Island, for example, has $1 million on here. And I know Sammy boats a lot, so do I, but the Jekyll Pier, the south end of that pier was hit by a barge, and it's been broke off and closed for about 4 years, where people can't use the southern end of that pier. So this is not a hastily put together list at all, as some want to argue. It's been well thought out. The numbers are pretty much correct. Just want to also say that, you know, with further discussions with the Coast Guard beach park improvements, that was originally on SPLOST 2020, that we are holding that back at 2.5 million, not going for the whole 5 million after discussion with our commissioners in between each other. Couple other things too that I want to note is it's the intent of this commission, based on our discussions with the 2016 project list and the SPLOST committee, that we're going to look to be responsible in following some recommendations. I think commissions agreed to look at hiring an oversight project manager for some of these projects, because it is beyond the scope and time that our regular staff has. Public Works, they all work very hard. But we went back through that list of 2016. Most of the things that were preventing the list of 2016 being finished were items like permits, right-of-way acquisitions, DOT, things that need personal follow-up from staff, bulldogging to get those permits done. Those are delays, not because the county has been remiss. It's just getting those type of permits done that go with the project. Right-of-way acquisitions, DOT permits. So, you know, just we're going to do a better job on this. We've got a good list. This is a 3-year SPLOST, not a 5-year SPLOST, which is the first time it's been a short-term SPLOST. So just want to say that publicly for those that are tuning in, and thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Commissioner Fendig. I was remiss.
Mr. Chairman, I also want to add to Commissioner Fendig's point regarding funds and how they're divided throughout the community. I don't think he mentioned the 13 million that's going to the city of Brunswick, which, you know, directly affects folks on the mainland, in addition to the 23 million that is going to the rest of the county. So if you really look at, there's some discussion on the radio today about is it equitable? I think we've done as good a job as possible to try to make sure that everything is equitable, and that you need to consider that money going to the city of Brunswick and improvements on the mainland also. So not only do you have water and sewer projects, you have the projects from the city of Brunswick and the county projects. So I think it's a very good list. I think it's balanced. In regards to the CoStar station, the 2020 list had 1.5 million on it, and that was a 5-year SPLOST. I mean, this committee has stepped up and said, you know, we want to put the 2.5 on the list this year, even though it's a 3-year SPLOST, which is a shorter duration, less money, but in order to make sure that we have the money to do the first half of that project. So I think it's a good list. I think it's fair. I think it's as balanced as could be. I know it's something that I've worked on with Commissioner Neal throughout the fall, that we've had discussions from time to time with different commissioners before they got on the board with existing commissioners, and I agree that it's not a hastily put together list. It's a list that's been worked on for the last few years. There's no way we can get every project and every need in the county accomplished in a 3-year SPLOST. So we have to pick and choose and do our best to make sure that we're hitting areas that need to be hit, and make sure that we're taking care of needs that are immediate and planning for the future. So I'm encouraged by this list. I hope the public will also be encouraged and not consider it to be hastily put together, but to be identifying things that need to be done. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Quinn, thank you. And before we go further, I was remiss in not doing a roll call of the staff that is present. I know Mr. Hours is here. Would you check in, please?
Good morning, present.
And Ms. Patel,
Present.
and I see Ms. Pamela Thompson,
Good morning.
and we always have our Public Affairs Director, Mr. Kent, with us. Do we have other people on the staff that I'm not seeing on the screen? Our attorney?
Present, Chairman.
Yes, sir. I also see Lisa Garganis.
Yes, sir. Good morning, y'all.
Good morning. Are there others that are present? If you would check in, please. Okay, thank you. So I appreciate the comments by my fellow commissioners, and we have indeed worked on this.
I'm unable to hear the chairman.
I'm sorry, I don't know how that got muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. If there's no other discussion, then I'd like to do a roll call. All in favor of the SPLOST as it's presented. I guess, first of all, I need a motion.
I make a motion that we adopt the resolution.
Okay, and
Second.
I have a motion and a second. And for clarification, this is the adoption for the resolution, and I will state that this is to consider the adoption of a resolution calling for an election to be held on March 16th, 2021 to impose a special 1% sales and use tax within Glynn County, specifying the purposes for which the proceeds of such tax are to be used, specifying the maximum period of time for which such tax shall be imposed, specifying the estimated cost of the capital outlay projects to be funded from the proceeds of such tax, and for other purposes, the SPLOST 2021. We have a motion. This is actually item 3 on our agenda this morning. We have a motion on the floor and a second. If we could get a roll call for the adoption of the resolution, I would start with Commissioner Tostenson. Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Fendig.
Yes.
Commissioner Neal, yes. Commissioner Brunson.
Yes.
Commissioner Booker.
Yes.
Commissioner Rafalski.
Yes.
And Commissioner O'Quinn.
Yes.
Okay. So with that, we have a resolution to put the SPLOST 2021 before the public on March 16th. Also today, we need to consider the adoption of a joint resolution with the City of Brunswick and Glynn County declaring the Oglethorpe Conference Center infeasible, specifying a modified purpose for which the remaining SPLOST proceeds designated for such project are to be used, and calling for an election to be held on March 16th, 2021 to submit the question to the approval of the modified purpose to the voters of Glynn County and for other purposes. With that, we would need a motion to basically unwind the convention center, to declare it infeasible, and to reallocate those funds. Do I have a motion for that resolution?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we offer the resolution for the splash funds regarding to the conference center infeasible to be placed on the ballot.
All right, so we have a motion from Commissioner Booker. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, and I did not see who that was.
Cat Fendig.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Fendig. Have a motion and a second. I'll do a roll call. Again, starting with Commissioner Tostenson.
Yes.
Commissioner Fendig.
Yes.
Commissioner Neal, yes. Commissioner Brunson.
Yes.
Commissioner Booker.
Yes.
Commissioner Rafalski,
Yes.
and Commissioner O'Quinn.
Yes.
All right, so we have passed the resolution to go on the ballot for March 16th, 2021 to declare the Oglethorpe Conference Center infeasible. With that, there is no other items on our agenda this morning, and I want to thank you for attending. We thank the public for working with us on this, and this meeting stands adjourned. Thank you.
Right.